Moses, a man chosen by God to lead a nation from slavery to freedom, a prophet, a leader, and yet a man of deep humanity. Behind every miracle and every mountain moment was a heart that struggled, feared, and believed. In this reflection, we look beyond the story you already know, to uncover the strengths, the weaknesses, and the life lessons from Moses that still speak to us today. Let's begin with his strengths, the qualities that made Moses such a remarkable servant of God. First, his faith and obedience. When God called him from the burning bush, Moses hesitated. He questioned, doubted, and feared. Yet, he still obeyed. That simple act of obedience changed history. He confronted Pharaoh with nothing but a staff in his hand and the word of God in his heart. His faith wasn't loud, it was steady. It didn't remove fear, but it pushed through it. And that's what made it powerful. This teaches us that true faith isn't the absence of fear, it's moving forward in spite of it. Second, his humility and dependence on God. The Bible calls Moses the most humble man on earth. Despite his leadership, he never relied on his strength or status. He always turned to God for direction, for wisdom, for help. In moments of uncertainty, Moses didn't lean on himself. He fell on his face before the Lord. That humility became the secret of his strength. This implies that greatness in God's eyes is not about power or fame, but humility and surrender. The third strength to note is his courage as a leader. Leading a nation of millions through the wilderness required courage, not the kind born from pride, but from conviction. He faced rebellion, hunger, fear, and frustration. Yet, he never turned back. His courage came from knowing that the God who called him was always with him. True courage isn't the absence of fear. It's trusting that God is greater than what you fear. But like all of us, Moses was not without flaws. His weaknesses reveal the humanity behind the hero, and they teach us just as much as his strengths. First, his fear and self-doubt. When God sent him to Pharaoh, Moses replied, "Who am I that I should go?" He doubted his voice, his ability, his worth. Even after witnessing miracles, he still struggled to believe he was enough. Yet, God never chose him for his ability. He chose him for his availability. It is important to note that God's strength begins where our confidence ends. Second, his anger and impatience. Moses had a passionate heart, but sometimes that passion turned to rage. In Egypt, it led him to kill an oppressor. Years later, in the wilderness, it caused him to strike the rock instead of speaking to it as God commanded. That single act of disobedience cost him entry into the promised land. Anger can lead us astray when not surrendered to God's control. The third is the burden of leadership. Moses often felt overwhelmed, worn out, and alone. He cried out, "I cannot carry all these people by myself." He often felt lonely, overwhelmed, and misunderstood. This means that even the strongest leaders grow weary. We are not meant to carry every burden alone, and it's okay to ask for help and lean on others God places in your life. When we look at Moses' journey from the palace of Pharaoh to the desert of Midian, from Mount Sinai to the edge of Canaan, we see a man constantly shaped by God's hand. His story reminds us that God uses imperfect people to fulfill his perfect plan. That humility opens the door to divine presence. That obedience matters more than eloquence. And that failure isn't the end. It's often where transformation begins. Moses began as a man running from his past, but ended as a man walking in God's presence. He shows us that the measure of a person is not in their perfection, but in their perseverance. So when you doubt yourself, remember Moses. When you feel unworthy, remember who God chooses to lead. When anger rises, remember the price of disobedience. And when you grow weary, remember that even Moses needed help. Moses' story isn't just history. It's a mirror reflecting our own journey of faith, failure, and redemption.